Congratulations. Next, I'm going to call on, get my notes here straight, myself. It's been a long day. We had a great day today, by the way. We started at 8 o'clock with a full board meeting, followed by our student luncheon, and now we're here to celebrate together. And so, you know, the one message that's been interwoven throughout, if you haven't picked up on it, is the word people. You know, this is a great industry, and you can see that by the width and depth of talent that we have in this room tonight. So it's so exciting to be part of this tonight. Get my notes straight. It is my pleasure tonight to recognize Dr. Les Hansen, distinguished teaching professor at the University of Minnesota, as recipient of the 2023 Dairy Shrine Guest of Honor Award. This award represents the highest level of recognition from the Dairy Shrine and recognizes exemplary dairy leaders for their accomplishments and contributions in the dairy industry. While Dr. Hansen's research, teaching, advising, and volunteering has been based primarily at the University of Minnesota, his work has created a profound ripple effect across the dairy industry. He is regarded as a world expert on dairy cattle genetics, especially with regard to crossbreeding, and as a dedicated and highly respected researcher. As a master at turning technical information into an engaging and reliable presentation, he is a popular choice for speaking to dairy producer audiences internationally. Over 20 years, he has made 45 trips to 21 countries as an invited speaker, sharing his research with both scientific and dairy producer audiences. Within the American Dairy Science Association, Dr. Hansen is the only person in history to ever be presented with 3 prestigious awards: the Dairy Production Teaching Award, the Research Award for Respective Area Research, and the Hordes Dairyman Youth Development Award. These recognitions are just a small sampling of Dr. Hansen's honors over the years. Other awards include the Morse Alumni Distinguished Teaching Award from the University of Minnesota and the Distinguished Service Award from Minnesota DHIA. John Meyer, CEO of Holstein Association USA, says, "Dr. Hansen is one of the most recognized dairy cattle geneticists in the world. His curious mind, willingness to take on complex and at times controversial subjects has helped to expand the minds of dairy cattle breeders around the globe. In addition to conducting and disseminating internationally impactful dairy cattle genetics research, Dr. Hansen has dedicated his career to the success of 4-H youth, dairy science students, graduate students, and intercollegiate dairy cattle judging teams." And that was witnessed this week, wasn't it? He has a knack for motivating youth to commit the time necessary to be successful in collegiate dairy cattle judging. Students enjoy participating in his judging program because practices are nurturing and supportive. Apart from sustained success in contests, the outcome has been self-confidence, public speaking skills, decision-making skills, teamwork, and many other skills to benefit the students. Dr. Hansen's graduate students' success speaks volumes of his passion for dairy cattle genetics. They're making ongoing contributions to the dairy industry through AI companies and academia both, including Transova Genetics, ABS Global, URUS, and the University of Maine, and more. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Les Hansen to the stage.
Well, I don't normally have stage fright, but this is tough. I was afraid I might be a ball baby when I got up here. We'll see how this goes. I really need to thank a lot of people, and that's what I want to spend my time doing. First, the 2 people that submitted my nomination. And I know you all like to see people, so I'm going to ask people to stand here. So Emily Annixted-Bosch, who's Director of Communications for Holstein USA, and Sarah Olson-Schmidt, Vice President of Marketing for AMPI. I remain standing. Those two submitted my nomination, and I'm deeply indebted, very surprised this happened. And others supported the nomination. They asked for some people, so I gave them 10 names, and it turned out all 10 submitted letters, which shocked me when I heard that. And they are Dr. Mike Schutz. Please stand. You two stand. Everybody keep standing here. Take a good look at him, you know. And Dr. Schutz is one of my former graduate students, and now is the ANSI head at the University of Minnesota. How would you like that? To work and have one of your former students report to you. So your forbearance is amazing, Mike. Thank you very much. Dr. Brad Hines, a former graduate student, now a colleague of mine at the University of Minnesota. Dr. Denny Funk. Denny, you can stand up too. Those legs still work. Denny and I were graduate students together at Iowa State, and lifelong friends. Crystal Seamers Peterman, now Sin, former student. Ethan Dato, former student. Bob Hagenow, friends for a good 30 years. John Meyer, as was in the letter here earlier. Thank you to all of you for letting something like this happen. Thank you very much. Let's let them know that we appreciate what they've done. Also, I'm extremely proud. This organization has meant to me so much to me my whole life. I haven't missed a banquet here in the last 40 years, and I've attended some of the others in other locations. And over the past year, 5 of my former students have served on the board of directors, so if they would stand. Tina Larson, Pam Hendel, Tricia Sheehan, Sarah Schmidt, and Ashley Hagenow. So let's show the appreciation for their contributions to this wonderful organization. And you're my people. I say that all the time about this organization because it's overwhelmingly in academia, the people that are really involved with undergraduate students and working directly with dairy farmers. It's the people with agribusiness, especially the AI companies and the breed associations and registered breeders. You're all my people. I love this organization deeply. I want to thank my key mentors, if you bear with me here. I was, like all of you or most of you, blessed with wonderful parents, Carlo and Esther Hansen. Our meals at night were always revolving around issues of the day. My father served on 7 boards of directors and associations at one time. My mother was a leader in the community, school, and church. We discussed over dinner issues of the day. You know, that's what we did. And how do you solve problems and how do you move things forward? Then, for youth programming, I was blessed for my youth agent, Larry Tandy, came to Steele County the year I started 4-H. And there's a right way and a wrong way to do things with Larry Tandy, or was, and you better do it the right way. And of course, Larry was a pioneer for Dairy Shrine. My FFA advisor, one of 2 of the best in the state of Minnesota, Truman Tilleris, ended up being a professor at University of Minnesota Crookston when they launched that university. So what a lucky young man I was. At the University of Minnesota, as an undergrad student, I had Dr. Garth Miller as my coach. Garth passed away at a very young age in his 30s. But his motto always, and I hope it's okay, give him hell. That was his key phrase. And Dr. Bob Touchberry, the head of the Animal Science Department. It was mentioned earlier in the video that I was extremely fortunate to spend a couple years in Shawano, Wisconsin with Midwest Breeders Cooperative, and to have Ken Wallen, pioneer of National Dairy Shrine, as my first boss in industry was incredible, and Tom Lyon, who was a guest of honor of this association and was the director of marketing. Wow, to have those kind of mentors. And then, maybe the most profound of all, was at Iowa State University. My 3.5 years there were incredibly impactful. Dr. Fred Foreman, probably my most influential mentor of all. And was my role model for working with the Gopher Dairy Club and the structures. And you Iowa Staters that are here from years ago, the Gopher Dairy Club is a complete ripoff of the old Iowa State Dairy Science Club. It's just about exactly the same as that club in those days. And of course, Dr. Gene Freeman for the dairy genetics. Both of them were guest of honor recipients. How lucky could I be? And then colleagues back at the University of Minnesota, Dr. Bob Appelman, Mr. Stray Voltage, was a pioneer of this association, and Dr. Richard Goodrich, who was the animal science head. So those 10 I would view as my key mentors. Maybe a little embarrassing, today they're all men, but when I started in animal science, there were 3 women in animal science. It just was not done. And I know my current students think it's amazing that when I was young, it wasn't appropriate for a woman to be in the barn when a cow was being inseminated. So we've really come a long ways. And all you young women in the room, you know, you're going for it and you're doing fabulous. My message there, young people, seek out your mentors. Seek out mentors. They'll help you. And I do sometimes worry that young people only view their parents as mentors, and sometimes parents aren't willing to let their students pick mentors otherwise. We need those people. When I asked my dad for anything, always 99% of the time it was no. And then I'd ask, what should I do for my career? Well, it's your life, you go for it. You know, it's different time. Do your own thing. We'll be here. We're here for you, whatever you want. Now, I'm aware some of you are thinking, Les has been around forever. Will he ever retire? Yeah, we're laying some plans in that regard. And I'd like to introduce 2 people for the future of the undergrad dairy program at the University of Minnesota. Dr. Isaac Selfer, will you stand, Isaac? Assistant professor in dairy nutrition. He started with us about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. Bachelor's and master's at Minnesota, PhD at Penn State. He won the Louisville contest for us at Minnesota some years ago. And then Dr. Isaac Hagen, assistant professor in dairy cattle genetics, bachelor's and PhD at Penn State. He was first in the National Collegiate Judging Contest for Penn State. He got tons of scholarships from this organization and was a National Holstein Distinguished Youth. So Isaac will start working with me with the judging team next year, and we're going to hopefully keep this thing going. And we got a good shot, Mike, another one, right? Another assistant professor with a strong dairy cattle background, hopefully, tenure track. Now, thank you. To wrap up, and I know you're anxious to go home. So, would all of my fellow students, while I was a student at the University of Minnesota, stand up? Not too many of you. Dan, Vicki, Mike, there's a few of you. Jeanette. Yeah, most of them are retired, so okay, keep standing because we're going to keep adding to the group. Okay, I know this is a bigger group. All my fellow students while I was a student at Iowa State. I know there's quite a few of those here. Come on. Dave and Pam, there we go. Yeah, there we go. My former students at the University of Minnesota. Both undergraduate and graduate. For good measure, let's have all the parents of my former students stand up. Okay, quite a few of you here. Now have everyone else stand up, please. Come on, stand up. Everyone. You are my people, I'll say it again. Thank you so much, this wonderful industry that we work in and this wonderful organization. You mean the world to me, you mean the world to each other. We got a good thing going here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.